Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for yet another little edition of Eleni on LinkedIn Live, talking about charismatic presence, 5 principles for magnetic presentations. My newest book. If this is your first time with me, please know that this is a compendium of all of my wisdom accumulated over the past 2-something decades. I am just quietly and methodically going through the different chapters of this book and just picking out different principles, different thoughts, different tools, and explaining them a little bit to you. And this week, I'm focusing on chapter 5, which is presence principle number 3. Prepare thyself. Prepare thyself. Proper preparation helps you surrender to the stage. It helps you be in the moment. Relaxed, breathing, present, all senses go. And it is a bit of work. When I think of preparation, I always think of a particular client of mine who came to me because he had been selected to give a 5-minute talk at the Forbes annual summit. He had been originally selected as a 30 under 30 recipient for a fantastic invention that he had created. And this was going to be his opportunity to get up and actually talk about it, which, if you think about it, that's an amazing opportunity, right? I mean, everyone who is anyone is at those, and media included. So he reached out to me. And we worked for 2 weeks on a 5-minute talk. 2 full weeks. I'm not saying we worked every day, but over the course of 2 weeks for 5 minutes. 5 minutes that mattered. First thing we thought about was, who's out there in that audience? We figured out a way to tailor it to that unique audience. I call that positioning your presentation. And then I worked on helping him develop it, putting a little script together in a tiny talk like that. Every single word counts. So it's really valuable. It's valuable for you to actually get to the point that you know it cold, that you can internalize it. I didn't say memorize, I said internalize. Say it so much it becomes a part of you. So we worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. The more he spoke it out loud, the more he realized how quickly 5 minutes goes. It goes like a flash. We began to prune it because, you see, what you leave out is as important as what you leave in. What you leave out is as important as what you leave in. And over the course of the time together, what we were left with was a pared down, conversational, interesting, engaging 5-minute talk. Well, it was more like 4.5 minutes, or 4 minutes and maybe 45 seconds, because we wanted breathing room. And then we went over it and over it and over it and over it within the confines of the time frame that we had in which to work over those 2 weeks. We had initially created what I call a production schedule. We knew when we were going to meet and for how long and what we wanted to accomplish at those meetings. And because we were organized around that production schedule, that is exactly what we did. I assure you that by the time we got to the end of our time together, he was sick and tired of speaking that presentation out loud. Which was fine. That's where I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be so sick of it, that he would know it in his sleep, which is exactly what happened. He went and he performed this talk. And I got a call from him letting me know that he knocked it out of the park, which always makes me very, very happy. And more than that, he had to stay an extra day or two just to field all the interest that he had from all of these people there, because of what he'd brought to that talk. Now, we didn't just work on that talk from a content standpoint, which is part of preparation. We worked on that talk from a presence standpoint, meaning I wanted him to be able to bring his unique self to it. He's funny and quirky. I wanted him to speak at a pace that was reasonable with breathing room. And that's why we rehearsed it, and we held up a clock and timed it as we did, so that he could find his sense of self within it. What I wanted was for him to come through, and it took that long for him to become so comfortable with the material that he started to have fun with it. It made all the difference in the world. And what happened is his audience felt they knew him a bit because of what he shared and how he shared it. That is what real preparation can do. Preparation to that degree, that is the essence of principle number 3, prepare thyself. I have to tell you, I wish I had come up with this particular statement I'm going to make. But amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. Oh my gosh, there is a world of difference between the two. See, when you know it just well enough, and you get spooked by something, when something throws you, and you know invariably something will, when that happens, if you only know it sort of well, there's a good likelihood that things are going to fall apart. That is not a fun thing. I do not wish that for you or anyone. What I want, of course, for you is that you know it so very, very well that you can, as I said before, surrender to the stage and rock and roll with what you're given. In my estimation, one of the reasons that I'm so adamant about preparation, and I could talk about it all day, I've been there. I know what it's like to not be completely prepared. I still have nightmares about that. You know, we want that feeling that's it's almost like a second spine. And so I have to ask you, when you think about what makes you feel secure, or when you're at your best, when you give a presentation or a pitch, would it be when you feel like you know the material really well, or it's really familiar to you? I'm going to assume that that's the case, because 10 out of 10 times that seems to be the case with the people that I work with, the people that I talk about in the presentation skills trainings that I conduct as well. You know, the question I always love to ask after I ask the room, how many people feel most ready to rock as a speaker when they really know the material, when they've really prepared? They'll all raise their hands, you know, and then I'll ask, how many of you feel that you do the work to be fully prepared every time you give a talk? What I want you to really think about is your willingness to commit to perhaps preparing and practicing a little differently than you've had in the past. And we are going to talk about how to practice as well. I hinted a little bit when I said to break your presentation up into parts, but I do want to get you to think about what you can do to practice more efficiently and prepare more thoroughly. So think of today as just a little preface to an even deeper discussion on the 2 phases of preparation that can make you and your speaking go to a whole other level that will get you to think like a professional actor and a professional speaker. And even if you are a professional speaker, for you to begin to rethink a little bit how you come at it. Next time around, we'll dip into what it takes to do all of that, and I'll begin to lean into the most critical element, which is the pre-show prep, which is where everyone gets anxious, right when you're waiting to go on. And I'll give you some tools to help you manage that so that you can be more effective and have more impact and allow that gorgeous charismatic presence to fly free with all those eyeballs on you. For now, thank you for joining me. If you missed any of these little episodes, you can find them either on my YouTube channel, just Eleni Kelakos channel, or you can find them here on LinkedIn. Okay, they're in there. And I hope I see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.